The City of Cape Town has confirmed a building in the Parliamentary precinct has caught fire. For more on this, we're joined now by senior reporter Ayesha Ismail. Ayesha, thank you so much for your time this morning. What is the latest on that fire?
So, Faith, what we understand is that the fire started just after 5 o'clock this morning. Some people saw smoke coming from the Parliament building, called the fire and rescue services, and we understand that it started in the old Assembly building. Now, I'm not sure, but if you recall, there was a fire also in the old Assembly building in March this year. We still do not know the cause of that fire, and we did speak to the Minister of Public Works, Patricia de Lille, earlier, and she was saying that while it may look as if the National Assembly is on fire, she's saying that it is not. The fire has been contained to the old Assembly at the moment, and the smoke that we're seeing coming from the back of the National Assembly is actually from an extractor that is kind of extracting the smoke out of the building. She's now gone back into the Parliament precinct, and she says she will come back with an update. But right now, all we know is that the fire started after 5 o'clock this morning, and it did spread to quite a few of the offices. We're not allowed to go onto the precinct, as you can see, but we did see quite a number of police officers. There are about 6 fire engines on the premises. I know that there are 36 personnel, fire and rescue personnel. We saw an ambulance coming in earlier, and as I said, Patricia de Lille with her staff are also now on the Parliamentary precinct trying to establish the extent of the damage, and she did say that she would come back and talk to us again a little bit later once she has more information. Faith?
Yeah. Ayesha, I mean, regarding that, as we can appreciate the fact that the Minister of Public Works will be giving us an update, do we know if there were any persons in the building at the time?
Unfortunately, Faith, we don't have that information yet. I will ask the Minister when she comes to us with a little bit later whether anybody was on the premises. Obviously, the security staff, people guarding Parliament, would have been on the premises, and they would have made that call. Although I did speak to a security officer, private security officer in Government Avenue, who said that he was the one who called the fire and rescue services. He also then said to me that it took about 30 minutes for Parliament's fire alarm to kick in, and that was one of the questions I asked Patricia de Lille, whether the fire alarm was working well, and she said that is also still under investigation, and she will be able to give us more information a little bit later.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit, Ayesha, about the significance of this old Assembly building. This is not the first time, as you rightfully said, that we've seen a fire break out in Parliament. One would have thought that we would have learned from the previous fire that started, but exactly how significant is this building?
Well, I mean, when I asked Patricia de Lille that question about, what happened in March and do we know the cause of that fire, and she said that because of the heritage status of the buildings, of the National Assembly, of the old Assembly, they need to be very careful when it comes to renovating and restoring these old buildings, because it has heritage status and there are certain rules and regulations that they need to abide by. So coming back to the significance of this building, it is very significant, and of course it needs to be preserved because of the heritage and of course the history that goes along with these parliamentary buildings.
Yeah, and given the significance of it, Ayesha, as well as to build context to it, where this fire broke out, right, one would have thought that there'll be enough security detail or security in place to protect. This is Parliament that we're speaking about here that caught on fire. It's not just any building in the country.
That is indeed so, Faith. One would imagine that they would have security officers on the premises to to observe and to walk around Parliament and to have surveillance. I'm not sure what happened today or what even happened on the 17th of March. As I said, we've not received a report yet as to what exactly caused that fire on the 17th of March. And now, of course, today on the 2nd of January 2022, we see another fire, and this one looks as if it's even bigger than the one that took place in March earlier this year.
Yeah, you and I having a conversation, we're just panning and we're just seeing firefighters coming outside of that building. Does it mean that if we have to look at matters right now, I'm just looking at it through the screen, that they're managing to contain it, that it's not as severe as it was before? Are you able to tell in terms of exactly what are the developments so far?
I am just, sorry Faith, I just kind of looked to the other side. What we're going to do is a little later, in fact after this crossing, we'll try and get into Government Avenue to see what we can see from the other side, because apparently the fire is on the other side and not where we're standing. But I mean, you can see the smoke coming out. But Patricia de Lille was at pains to tell us that the National Assembly is not on fire and that it is just merely the smoke that's being extracted from the building. But there's a lot of smoke coming out from there. The fact that this fire took place or was noticed just after 5 o'clock this morning, what is the time now? I mean, it's 20 to 9. The fact that it hasn't been contained. We've also seen extra fire and rescue personnel coming onto the Parliamentary precinct tells me that this was quite a serious fire.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the alarm itself took so long before it was actually rung is another cause for concern. Ayesha, I know that you're going to be giving us details on that developing story as the day progresses. We'll leave it there for now. Ayesha Ismail, our senior reporter, out.